Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is the 13th of December 2023, and these are the stories that we'll try to decipher during the course of our show. We'll begin with the Dera Ismail Khan, and of course, we did highlight yesterday also the 3 attacks that took place and the number of casualties that occurred, and of course, all those perpetrators were sent to hell as well. Now, there is a complete proof of involvement of Afghan nationals in these attacks, and due to which Pakistan has delivered a strong demarche to the Afghan interim government in the context of this deadly attack. We've already highlighted in the past as well the involvement of Afghan nationals in nefarious activities in Pakistan, not just now but in many of the activities that have been happening within Pakistan. There has been concrete proof that has been seen and established that puts the Afghan nationals as part of these nefarious designs and nefarious activities. Why is this happening, despite the fact that Pakistan has been all but friendly towards their Afghan brethren and of course hosting the millions of Afghan refugees, not since now but since decades? We'll be highlighting that, the different reasons behind it, and why is Afghanistan trying to destabilize Pakistan, not since now but since quite some time. This is going to be our first segment. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns India that has faced a diplomatic embarrassment as Joe Biden, who's a US president, is no longer going to come on Republic Day. He was supposed to be a guest on India's Republic Day, but that is not happening now. Also, the Quad summit has been postponed. How does that bode also in the whole context of India's involvement in the transnational terrorist activities that proofs of which have been unearthed not only in Canada? We heard the Justin Trudeau, we heard Melanie Joly, the Canadian Foreign Minister, talk about it, and then there was concrete proof also of designs to kill an Canadian US national on a US soil, and that is why the FBI chief was also in India some time back. This is all leading to a huge diplomatic embarrassment for India on the diplomatic front. On the one hand, India is trying to reschedule the Quad summit, but the damage has already been done. We'll try to decipher the different aspects of this damage done in our second story. Then we are going to talk about the latest as far as Israel-Palestine conflict is concerned, the war that has been imposed on the Palestinian people by the Israeli government is concerned. Today is the 68th day of this Gaza war. We all know that the United Nations General Assembly also passed with a huge majority a resolution calling for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire. But now all eyes are on how that is going to be implemented in a letter and spirit. The latest casualty figures as far as Gaza is 18,205 killed, 49,645 wounded. This is a huge number, and this is only going to increase. These are official numbers. The unofficial numbers, I'm sure, is much higher as far as this is concerned. Will the diplomatic efforts kind of come to some fruitful result as far as a ceasefire or a truce or some kind of negotiation process between Israel and Palestine is concerned? We'll decipher that in our next story. Then we'll be talking about the Indian Parliament. We come back to India, where 4 have been arrested after a security breach that happened in the Indian Parliament. A man jumped apparently on the lawmakers area of the lower house, and this was on the eve of the 22nd anniversary of the Parliament attack. The incident occurred while the lawmakers were in session. So of course, whether it is unrest within India, whether it points to certain people who are not happy with the way the BJP government is moving along, or whether that also points towards security lapses in India, many examples of which we've seen in the past as well. We'll be highlighting that. And finally, we'll be talking about climate change and how the Arctic is experiencing the warmest summer on record has experienced, because we are now in winters. The Arctic warming has threatened the wider world with rising seas. And of course, we also know that 2023 has been the hottest year on record as well. Will COP28 make any tangible change as far as climate change is concerned? We'll try to understand that in our last story. Let's begin with our first, and that concerns the Pakistani authorities that have delivered a strong demarche to the Afghan interim government in the context of the deadly attack that happened in Dera Ismail Khan. The Foreign Secretary called in the chargé d'affaires of the Afghan interim government to deliver Pakistan's strong demarche in the context of the attack that happened on Pakistan security forces in Daraban, Dera Ismail Khan. We've been joined by Brigadier Waqar Hassan, online. Brigadier Saab, thank you very much to have joined us. And in the studio, we've also been joined by Naveed Aman Khan Saab, who's a senior analyst as well. Thank you very much, Naveed Saab. We'll begin with Brigadier Saab. Brigadier Saab, does that come as a surprise to you, the involvement of Afghan nationals in nefarious activities in Pakistan, this time in Dera Ismail Khan?
Not at all. I think the evidence has been shared many times, especially in 2023 at all levels, including their photographs, their videos by intelligence community, as well as I think highest political and military level. So there's no doubt about it. The only thing was that probably the leadership, Taliban leadership had committed that Afghanistan will not be used as a safe haven for terrorism against any country. It was just to be seen whether they will, meet this promise. But unfortunately, they've, I think, kept using terror as a tool of policy to draw certain concessions, basically. They would like to expand their influence. They would basically want an open border where they can conduct smuggling, narcotics, weapon smuggling, as well as, you saw the dollar was being smuggled. So entire economy has become a black economy, not realizing that it's not only Taliban, but I think almost 20 to 30 million Afghans who live there and who are suffering because of this regime. So I think this cache which was caught in the truck where some of the American weapon system was hidden under some onion, I think, loads or bags. So this I think indicates that probably now there is open sponsorship. And then we saw about 16 suicide bombers, all Afghans, in the test attack. I think last one was carrying their official documents. So there's no doubt about it. There's another, I think, serious aspect is the repatriation. Pakistan state has decided the illegal immigrants have to go back, and they are 1.75 million. And we were paying like $4 billion a year just for these illegal immigrants, despite assurances by the international community. And in case it is an Islamic government, why they should stop anyone who's coming to his home? So unfortunately, all told, I think Pakistan was being taken for a ride. And now the state has decided to start behaving like a state, a one-to-one relationship. We'll maintain good relationship, but no scope for terrorism and no scope for open borders.
But Brigadier Saab, I'd like to understand, why is there a free hand given to the TTP, in this case to the TJP, which is affiliated with the TTP as well, and other groups that are, rampant, openly working within the territories of Afghanistan? How can a government that calls itself a country, a state, can, let such organizations roam freely?
Yeah, I think it's basically part of the policy, because in the past also this has been happening. Even when the Americans were there, Ashraf Ghani government or Hamid Karzai government. But then it was a different situation. It was expected that after the American withdrawal, because Taliban got a lot of moral and diplomatic support from Pakistan, we were the one who held the first investment conference. But I think on the other side, there's only one understanding. Probably they can, browbeat Pakistan and then draw certain concession. Internationally and regionally, I think there's a lot of pressure in Moscow format. In Kazan, 30th September, Central Asian, Russian, China, and Iran, Pakistan, and some of the Middle Eastern countries conveyed very, clearly to Mr. Muttaqi that these terrorist, factories have to be shut up. This was the word used. So they can try it. Pakistan has fought for 20 years, the war on terror, and maybe I feel this is the last year, 2024, and military is determined, the state and nation is determined that it will be routed from Pakistan. And then it is up to the Afghan Taliban that in case they want to survive in competitive, and mind you, there are 3 or 4 countries left which have some diplomatic relation. Pakistan has been their staunchest ally. Even India has shut down their, embassy in Delhi because of various reasons. One, they were not allowing Afghan Taliban to post their ambassador. So I think this is how they're getting isolated. So if they have to run a state or a country, it will become impossible in case they have, let's say, problems with Pakistan. So they have to realize they can try it, but I'm sure sense would prevail when these people are repatriated. They go back to their homes, so they have to be managed. There are issues of women rights, women education, and then in case food commodities are not shipped from Pakistan, unfortunately, Afghanistan can starve actually, because 50% of food grain goes from here. But Pakistan has never used this leverage. Because the Afghans are our brothers. So I think Taliban government has to have a better understanding of this.
Okay, kindly stay online with us. We've also got Naveed Aman Khan Sahab in the studios to discuss this matter. Realization, this is what Brigadier Sahab talks about. Realization should come within the Afghan interim government as to what activities are happening in Pakistan through the Afghan border and through the interference of groups that are roaming freely within the Afghan soil. Will that realization come? Because we have seen so many incidents happening in the past as well with the involvement of the Afghans.
Absolutely right. I don't think that they are realizing and they can realize, because it is the matter of incapacity. They don't realize the fundamentals of the regional politics or the basics of diplomacy. They are, quite ignorant of all the merits, the values of the 21st century politics and diplomacy, how to survive and how to deal with the neighbors in a peaceful way. They have not learned anything right from the time they have been in Afghanistan 20 years back, 25 years back. They are the same Taliban, and the mindset is the same mindset. By then, they were ignorant, and they have been living in the cave ages. And now, after 25 years, they are living in the cave ages and the stone ages, and they haven't learned anything except they have taken the lives of their own people or the people in their neighbors. So they believe in fighting or killing or the destruction, or they don't believe in any sort of development in the region. The way they have been dealing with the neighbors, like we are the immediate neighbor to them, and they believe that they know that their bread and butter depends upon Pakistan because of our coastal area. Afghan, Gwadar and Karachi are their main coast from where they do their trade. But even then, depending upon Pakistan, they are creating problem for Pakistan. But I think that it is high time to play very, very ruthless role against Afghan Taliban now, because if we push Afghan Taliban, they will push TTP, because that is the proxy of Afghan Taliban. And first, the National Northern Alliance have been against Pakistan with the help of India. Now, Afghan Taliban are against Pakistan with the help of India once again. So, India is having important role in this long wave of terrorism against Pakistan.
That is true. Brigadier Saab, last question to you. I've taken a lot of your time and you've been extremely helpful as far as explaining the situation is concerned. What kind of a push does the Afghan government need? We've had such a strong relationship. We've tried our level best in order to help the Afghans through the millions of refugees that are here. We've tried to highlight the Afghan issue time and again on international fora. We've tried to stabilize Afghanistan one way or the other, directly and indirectly. But Afghanistan doesn't seem to understand Pakistan's sincere efforts. How can we make them explain? Or is there maybe another way to make them understand that Pakistan is also a sovereign country that it needs to respect?
I think we have 6-7 leverages, and so they've been actually applied positively. So imagine if you just start reversing it. First is, let's say, diplomatic isolation. Imagine if you shut down their embassy, and the 3 lakh Afghans which come every month to Pakistan for work, for education and health. Although on humanitarian grounds, I don't think so. Pakistan will be doing that still. Then, of course, comes the Afghan transit rate, who can impose conditions which are not detrimental to Pakistan, and then they are strict. And smuggling, I think, is hurting them a lot. Then, of course, is border control. Then, of course, is the regional, regional countries which have already, I think, indicated. So Pakistan can always take that forum. Even the Doha format, Doha discussion and talks where the final agreement were reached, I think can be again revised, and Middle Eastern country would be very happy to join that. And now you've seen that even US is worried because there were reports that now it's going to become an international center of terrorism against the entire world. So US is also a lot of leverages the Western countries. Afghanistan is just picking up imports and exports. So technically, I think there are a lot of leverage that Pakistan can apply. And also, in case push come to shove, there is a military option also. Pakistan is not a banana republic that would allow its soldiers and officers to embrace Adat on daily basis. So there could be along the bordering area, especially where there are known hideouts and there are less civil population. Pakistan can go for selective strikes, because that's given, the right is given by United Nations also. So all told, I think there are a lot of, but I am sure with the pressure coming on, hopefully they would realize that maintaining a good relationship with Pakistan and existing in peace probably is the only way Afghanistan can move forward.
Thank you very much, Brigadier Waqar Hassan Saab, senior analyst, joining us and discussing with us the proof of involvement of Afghans, in this case the TJP, that is a terrorist group affiliated with the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, in the attack on Pakistan security forces in Darabani Dera Ismail Khan. I'd like to just highlight some of the points that were given in the demarche that was handed over to the Afghan interim government and the representative of the Afghan interim government in Islamabad. The interim government has been told to fully investigate and take stern action against the perpetrators of the recent attack, publicly condemn the terrorist incident at the highest level, take immediate verifiable actions against all the terrorist groups, including their leadership and their sanctuaries, apprehend and hand over the perpetrators of the attack and the TTP leadership in Afghanistan to the government of Pakistan, and take all necessary measures to deny the persistent use of the Afghan soil for terrorism against Pakistan. These are all very important points, and we look forward to a positive reaction from the Afghan interim government as far as these steps are concerned. This brings us to the end of the first segment, ladies and gentlemen. Our second story concerns the diplomatic failure of India as far as the visit of Joe Biden that was supposed to happen on the Indian Republic Day and is no longer happening now. And also, as a consequence, India has postponed the Quad summit that it had proposed to host in the last week of January, now that President Joe Biden is no longer coming to India. What are the consequences? Because there's also the whole fact of India's involvement in transnational terrorism in Canada that has been also proven time and again. We've had the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as well as the Canadian Foreign Minister Melanie Joly talk about it. Then we've got this proof as well that the Americans have been talking about of an attempted threat on Canadian US national on a US soil. So two different countries, two bordering countries, but two very important Western allies of India, where India has been using a free rein as far as its transnational terrorism is concerned. Pakistan has been time and again highlighting this on different fora, but now the West understands that, what is really actually the true face of India. Naveed Aman Khan Saab continues to join us as far as this segment is concerned. Naveed Saab, how do you see this whole continuity of diplomatic failures for India, especially in the context of A, the Quad summit being postponed, B, Joe Biden not coming to India?
It's a big blow to India. And I think, as the proverb is, nip the evil in the bud. When India has been involved, was involved in Pakistan for decades in terrorism, Pakistan has been raising its voice into America in the West, and have been saying that India is involved in terrorism in Pakistan. But then the West, the America, the Western countries or UK have never been paying attention towards Pakistan words. Now, as you sow, so shall you reap. When Pakistan have been raising its voice, nobody was believing it. But it was a truth. It was, based on facts and figures, and it was not a lie. When that India was not stopped, that India then moved towards Middle East in Qatar, then moved to UK, USA, and Canada. And in Canada, USA, America, India has proved that India was involved in the killing and in the murder attempt of a US national. In Qatar, yes, in Middle East, the involvement of the Indian spies, it is proved, and it is they are sentenced in Middle East. It shows that India from Pakistan has moved to Middle East and then to their allies. India is now believing that India can go anywhere for the terrorism, for killing anybody, and the national of Canada and the nationals of America are not even safe from the hands of India. This has really forced America and Canada to rethink or to decide not to go to India and not to encourage in India any longer, so that India should learn lesson that India will have to face that retaliation of those countries as far as the spy activities or the murders of their nationals are concerned. So it's a big blow to India.
Naveed Saab, not only is India involved in transnational terrorism in Pakistan, and now it has proven in the West and other countries as well, but it has also been trying to destabilize other countries in this very region. This said, there have also been other issues as far as India is concerned. This time, of course, the Quad Summit has been postponed, but remember, if you remember well, the G20 summit that was held earlier as well, that was also not a success by any means. There was no big leader that came, and they tried to highlight a normal image of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir by doing a summit in closed doors in the Indian held valley. But everybody knew what the reality of the Indian held valley was, and now with the decision by the Supreme Court that has also come out regarding Article 370 and 35A, don't you feel the West is now slowly and steadily realizing that whatever India has been trying to propagate as far as its image is concerned, shining India, rising India, is no longer the truth?
It's true. And it seems that the West is not realizing. If the West realizes in this case and realizes that India is doing wrong in Kashmir, it will really help and affect Middle East as well, as far as the Palestinian issue is concerned. If America or West realizes its role or the role of India in Kashmir, definitely it will be very good for the Palestinians as well as.
All right. Now, you know, India is part of Quad, India is part of G20. India is also part of the US's Asia-Pacific strategy. Is all that going to change? Are the priorities of the US under the current circumstances going to change vis-a-vis India, or do you feel this is going to remain the same, but the US wants to show India that it is not happy with whatever it has been doing and is currently doing as well?
Definitely, the US and Canada, they are not happy because the allegation of the murder of the Canadian national is on India. And the murder attempt of that US national is again on India. It's proven. I mean, they are not just guessing it, it is proven. So they are enhancing their pressure on India not to go to that extent which the West will not bear any longer. Because it is not their neighbor who will bear it at any stage. But now if we talk about Pakistan, Pakistan is not going to bear any sort of Indian pressure or any sort of Afghan pressure any longer on both of the borders. So the pressure is going to mount on India from the West as well.
But will it be a short-term pressure, or do you feel once the elections are happening within the US or within India, things or priorities will change?
I think it will not be short-term because US and Canada, they are very, very certain and particular about their nationals. They have concern about their nationals, so they don't leave their nationals unsafe from the hands of Indian brutality, because Indian brutality continues in India. And if Indian brutality comes to US or Canada, they will not bear it. They will never bear it.
You know, if you look at Quad, of which India is a member, so is the US, Australia and Japan, one of the primary objectives of the Quad is to work for a free, open, prosperous and inclusive Indo-Pacific region, inclusivity being the key word. When you look at how India has been propagating exactly the opposite of all the how should I say, the basic measures, the basic objectives of the Quad, do you feel that the four countries that form part of Quad will also have second thoughts as far as India's involvement is concerned? Do you feel India is going to come under immense pressure as far as these organizations are also concerned in order to mend its ways?
Definitely, because it has exposed India's double standard. The way India deals and the way India under the table deals. So it has really exposed to the West. It was already exposed in Pakistan, But the same West was not going to believe Pakistan. Now they need to believe what Kulbhushan Yadav have been doing in Pakistan, has been doing in Pakistan. So the same sort of activities are continuing in the West and the Middle East by India. In that context of Kulbhushan, they need to understand, or they need to take the cases of Najar in Canada and that US national in US. I think the things are not very not hidden now, and everything is open to the Quad countries as well.
Economic implications for India in the coming months,
Oh, definitely.
in the whole context of what is happening, and also Joe Biden not coming, the Quad summit being postponed. A lot of things are happening as a reaction of what India has been perpetrating.
You know, such actions always have effect. When in India's that mission, which reached to the moon, and then G20 countries summit had very positive impact on India, and a lot of investment came in India. But now the same countries have realized that they need to reconsider their considerations as far as their investment in India, and it will really jolt Indian economy. As India is now competing China. China is not involved in any sort of such activities anywhere in the world. The policy of China is very different policy from that of India.
Okay.
So the Indian policy is followed by the American policy. That will not work here, and it will really jolt Indian economy. Definitely.
This is a policy of being not only a bully, in fact, in the region, but it's also trying to make people understand that nobody is better than them. In fact,
India has now started that India has become the world power, the first world power. I mean, India cannot be because of such acts. India cannot become that sort of world power. It's economy based, and if India continues doing such things, definitely the world will retaliate like they have retaliated in Quad.
In the postponement of the Quad summit, but that of course is also happening because Joe Biden is not coming. I don't know which kind of reaction India is also happening, but looking at the different allegations, this is my final question too, looking at the different allegations that India is implicated in as far as its involvement in transnational terrorism, what are you looking forward to as far as some action against India is concerned? We are seeing, different, how should I say, different examples of it, but nothing direct. It's always very indirect, all is in the air. But will there be something concrete as far as action or pressure tactic on India is concerned, following the actions that have been proven?
Yes, I think because Canada has taken it very seriously. America has taken it very seriously. Qatar has taken very seriously. Pakistan has taken it very seriously, and the Kulbhushan Yadav is sentenced to death in Pakistan. Those 8 spies in Qatar, they are sentenced to death in Qatar. So the pressure is proven, and the crime is proven. I don't think that India will be relaxed by West or Middle East or even by Pakistan.
Okay.
So it will really be a big blow politically, diplomatically and economically. And one more thing, in the forthcoming Indian elections, the Modi is once again going in the elections, and just before those elections,
the US.
It is a big blow to Modi as well. And the entire voters of India, they will be thinking, what are the reasons of postponement of the visit of Joe Biden and the postponement of the Quad
because there are a lot
countries.
of things that are apparent, and there are so many things that are not apparent as far as diplomacy is concerned. Thank you very much, Naveed Aman Khan Sahab, to have joined us, to have talked to us about this diplomatic failure that we are seeing India implied in because of the visit of Joe Biden being postponed, and also the Quad summit now being postponed as well. Let's come to our next story, and that concerns the Israel-Palestine conflict wars, day 68 of the war in Gaza as we speak. We all know that the United Nations General Assembly got together and voted for on a maximum in order to have a humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. And of course, this shows that the world wants peace, wants some kind of concrete result as far as this current conflict in Palestine, in Gaza is concerned. If you just look at the latest casualty figures in Gaza, 18,205 have been mercilessly killed by the Israeli forces, 49,645 have been wounded. In the occupied West Bank, 278 people have been killed, while more than 3,365 people have been injured. And the toll no longer includes figures from the northern parts of the enclave beyond the reach of the ambulances and where hospitals have ceased function. Speaking of the hospitals, they almost most of the hospitals have are no longer in a capacity to work properly, which leaves all those patients, the elderly, the children who have already been bombarded or wounded by the Israeli forces to not have the necessary aid in all of these hospitals. And then to add to the misery is of course all that is happening as far as the bombardment of the different hospitals is also concerned. We of course will be highlighting the different aspects of this day 68 of the conflict, for which we've been joined by Faisal Raza Khan. He is an anchor person with our channel, recently joined, and an analyst as well. Does a brilliant show at 11:05 p.m. on PTV World. Thank you very much, Faisal, to have joined us. Faisal, let's begin with day 68 of this conflict. There is no health facility, almost no health facility. There is no food, there is no water, there is no electricity, there is no aid, there is no hope for the Palestinians. What should they look forward to? Will this resolution overwhelmingly passed by the United Nations General Assembly prove to be some kind of a breather?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yes, of course, you are very right that unfortunately for the Palestinian people particularly there is no hope, but there are certain efforts which are going on, and I think so that this is just because of the international community and the common population which is living in different countries. They are of the view that what is happening in Gaza is very unfortunate, and not only in Gaza but also in West Bank as well. Now, just in a day or two, what the current situation is that United States, particularly the President Joe Biden, he has some of the leverage which is developed because of the internal pressures, and now
because of the election that are looming large.
Definitely, he don't want to lose that, because you know the Democrats are in much pressure from the public as well and the voters as well. So that's why we have seen a statement from the US State Department as well that they are going to impose some sort of visa restrictions upon those settlers who are actually attacking to the people in West Bank. But what about Gaza? Because we have seen a statement from Ursula von der Leyen and also the Joseph Borrell. He has given the statement that they are going to sanction the settlers in West Bank. Some sort of urgency is there, but unfortunately not for Gaza. It's for West Bank. They are actually splitting all this thing. But
what is left of Gaza? Most of Gaza is either destroyed or the people have been displaced.
Yes, definitely, because you know that what the intensity of this bombardment, unjustified bombardment at the Gaza civilians, that 25,000 tons of explosive was bombarded at the Gaza Strip. And at least 1.8 million of the people are now totally away from their homes, and their homes are already destroyed. No structure is there because, as you have rightly mentioned about that, no hospital left, no school, no college, no other facility, even
296, leave that 296 Palestinian medics killed by the Israeli
definitely,
forces.
and 130 are the humanitarian workers who were working on behalf of the United Nations agency, unfortunately, and they are pleading for that at least the humanitarian assistance must have to be given to them. And the last resolution, at least a sigh of hope, but that was the same text which approved by the UN General Assembly. That was the same text which was presented and tabled in the United Nations Security Council, in which that got 13 votes only out of 15, because United Kingdom abstained and United States again used the veto power, unfortunately. And the credibility of United Nations Security Council is absolutely now ended, because you know that article when UN Secretary General has already invoked an article, so 99, and unfortunately that was not adhered by anyone, even Again, Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, he has pleaded once again to the P5, in which Russia also included, that once for all a lasting peace in Middle East, particularly to settle down Palestinian issue as a separate state, must have to be intact at the global scenario, because otherwise it would not be the issue which is going to be settled. And if Israel wants to prolong this war, this is going to be overpowered, or might be. It will spill over to the other countries which is already there, and the threats are that this war is going to be not controllable at last. So unfortunately this is happening.
It is not being it is uncontrollable because Israel does not want it to be controlled.
Does not
this
want,
is what
because
they want havoc in
and
Gaza. They want it to be completely destroyed and then reoccupied by the Israelis.
And one unfortunate thing is that there is a political dimension of that, because Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, he knows that his position within Israel is very bad, unfortunately.
And this is a tactic that he's using.
And that was, those elections are going to be held in Israel in 2026. But now the situation is for the early election, which he started the campaign for that, and it is going to be, might be in the mid of next year. But the position is very unfortunate that he wants to use this massacre for his gain into the elections, which is unfortunately very disturbing for whole of the international community and the humanity particularly. There is no human rights existing right now in Gaza. This is unfortunate, very unfortunate.
Of course, unfortunately, all we can do is highlight it as much as we can, but we can also go as far as we can. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, that you highlight, who had invoked Article 99, but of course did not reap any benefit from that as well. He says that the enclave Gaza was in collapse. He says he expects public order to completely break down, and an even worse situation could also unfold. I will like to link that with the visit of the National Security Advisor of the United States, Jake Sullivan, who is going to travel to Israel on Thursday. He's going to meet the war cabinet. He's going to discuss the situation in Gaza. How important is the involvement of the US, and how important is the US pressure on Israel if it wants for a ceasefire and a possible negotiated solution to this conflict?
Because the updates are straight away coming from Washington that not only him, but also along with Jack Sullivan, there is the Secretary Defense Lloyd Austin is also either with him or separately visiting Israel as well. And most probably he is going to give the message to the Israeli Prime Minister and the leadership of Israel that this enough is enough, and you have to wrap up this whole issue, because there is no objective you have set for that. And this is unfortunately going on because of war, which is just for war. And unfortunate thing is that Israel and its occupation forces wants to erase, because the statement made by the Pakistani permanent representative within United Nations, Munir Akram, he has made a very important statement last night, and that was related to that Israel's war is against the people of Palestine, and Israel not only want to erase the people of Palestine, but also the idea of the state of Palestine. This is very unfortunate.
The whole comment of mowing grass.
Yes,
you remember?
yes.
And this is not only racist. This is downright. When it comes to humanitarian values, it goes to the pits. Now, I'd like to also have your point of view as far as the statement by the Israeli Foreign Minister is concerned. In a very recent statement, he says that the army will continue its war against Palestine in Gaza with or without international support, and that agreeing to a ceasefire in Gaza at this stage would be a mistake.
Yes, definitely it is going to be a mistake. You know that whole of the international community,
for Israel, it's
particularly
going to be a mistake.
When we are talking about Israel thinks right now that because of the support from the European countries and particularly the West, and leading one is the United States, when the United States support is going to be weakened or threatened in a sense that they are not going to support because of the public pressure, I think so that Israel is going to have a weaker position again, because you know that might be they are jumping the gun because they have already utilized billions of dollars from the US citizens' exchequer, and they are enjoying this war because that they want the war, and they want to erase each and every Palestinian over there. This is unfortunate, and the Islamic world at least trying to have diplomatic pressure on those who are, because you know that some of the schemes which are now prevailing is that there is an urgency in the West that this conflict must have to end, because there are many other things which are unfortunately going in the backdrop because of this conflict. And Palestinians, they are still fighting, they are still there, although they are innocent, empty-handed, but they are there against the Israeli aggression and whatever is happening over there. But the thing is that humanity and the human rights and all other, and the democracy or some sort of, looks really a mockery to the human rights and justice over there, because you know that unfortunately this is all happening and nobody is doing anything for the humanitarian aspect and the ceasefire in Gaza.
You know, I'd like to just conclude this segment by saying these are the same people who have been timeless since time immemorial, talking about Zionism, talking about what happened under the Nazi regime, how they were mercilessly, brutally murdered and persecuted. But aren't they doing exactly the same thing to the Palestinians?
They are doing exactly the same thing what they have suffered because of the Nazi regime. And unfortunately, what the word which most of the people don't want to place, the thing is that they are doing not only the same thing, but they are beyond that thing. And I think so that this is not going to be prevail for long, because ultimately peace is the solution. And what Pakistan, along with all other countries, they are stressing upon the pre-1967 borders, and with Al-Quds al-Sharif as its capital, an independent sovereign state of Palestine, at least to some that an illegitimate state of Israel is doing all that, and but they are enjoying each and every privilege. Despite that they are the occupants, they are the people who are using power without any justification. And unfortunately, where is the world order? Where is the system? So world order seems to be disordered totally.
Well, world order seems to be disordered, and the fact is, because of the whole precedent that has been set by Israel in this conflict, there will be many other countries that will take benefit, including India, in
Yes, definitely.
occupied Jammu and Kashmir, as we have seen by the ruling of the Supreme Court as far as Article 370 is concerned. But there needs to be a stop. You know, there's only a certain limit to which we can go. The world needs to put a full stop before the same happens in their own backyard. You know, this is something that you always need to understand and remember, that whatever you see happening to a neighbor can also happen to you if you don't do the needful, if you don't stop it, and if you don't stop all the persecutors, all the oppressors from doing what they have been doing. This is what Israel has been doing since decades. This is what India has been doing in illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir since decades as well. This needs to stop, and this needs to be
Definitely
stopped before it's too late. Thank you very much, Faisal Raza Khan, to have joined us. Pleasure to have you as my guest today, and all the best for your show tonight.
Thank you very much.
Let's come to our last two stories. The first story concerns a major breach in Lok Sabha, that is the Indian Parliament, where 4 people have been held. Parliament security detained a total of 4 people, and an investigation is underway. 2 were held from outside the Parliament complex. This happened on the 22nd anniversary of the Parliament attack, and whether it was to maybe highlight a certain image of what India now stands or does not stand for, or to highlight the disrespect that many of the people within India now have for India because of all that it has been doing within India and outside of India, or whether it be because of the total disrespect or the total mistrust that they have in the current government. We don't know. We'll find out when the Indian government comes out with a proper investigation as far as what the intention was of these 4 people in the Indian Lok Sabha. But this said, a very strong message has gone, and on a very important day, that is the 22nd anniversary of the Parliament attack. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the Arctic warming that is threatening the seas. The Arctic has experienced the warmest summer on record in 2023, contributing to extraordinary wildfires. We've seen that, we've highlighted that as well in different shows, and melting glaciers, while threatening the rest of the world with problems that include higher sea levels. This has been said in a US report on Tuesday. Summer surface air temperatures in the Arctic were the highest since at least the year 1900. We are 2023, remember. the Arctic continues to warm twice as fast as the rest of the globe because of human-caused climate change. Let me quote unquote that again, human-caused climate change. COP28 is ending tomorrow. The fact remains that there is a lot of also mistrust within all the different countries as far as coming to an agreement after COP28 is concerned. 28 years have passed since people are coming together on one platform to discuss climate change. Why can't they come to a solution that could be for the betterment of humankind? Then if that does not happen, we'll see things like the Arctic warming happening and things that we are not prepared for in the coming decades. Think on that, ponder on that. Allah Hafiz.